Hey guys, it's Josh here, a Unity game developer at Pearl Lemon Games. If you're interested in making games with us, you can just go into the site pearllemongames.com. In here, you can see the details or information about us. Or if you want to try our games, you just click this button right here. So in here you can find a bunch of games that are created by our own game developers.
In this video, I'm gonna give you a quick introduction about the interface and commonly used tools in Unity. So let's start. First thing to do is open up your Unity Hub to create your own project. Find the project tab and click the new project button. Now Unity will give us a few couple of templates to choose from. I'm making a 3D project. So I'm gonna change the project name to experimenting. And if you want to change your location, where will it be saved? You can choose on what folder or what place. It's up to you. But for me, I'm picking this folder and then click create project. Now, sometimes this took a lot of time, particularly on the first time you create a project. So be patient, and then when it's done, we'll be into Unity. So now I'm gonna pause the record for a bit and come back when it's finished loading.
And I'm back. Now there's a few main areas that I want to point out briefly. We've got on our left our hierarchy. That's where all about our game objects will be shown. At the moment we have our sample scene. If we click on the arrow beside that, we can see we've got two objects, the main camera and the directional light. Now, when I click on this hierarchy, it highlights them within our scene. You can see this tab right here is a scene and we have our camera. And the other thing you'll know is when we click on each of this is our inspector changes. So the inspector is the place that gives us all information about the particular game object, all the things that we can change, all of the components on that game object. For example, this main camera is a game object that lives on our scene, represented in our hierarchy, and it has a number of components like transform, camera, and audio listener. These are the components that make up the camera. Now, every game object in our scene will have transform. Transform is the position, rotation, and scale. Basically, that's where it is in the world, the position. The rotation is which way it's rotated, and how the scale is how large is it scaled. Now, if we click on the directional light, as you can see, we've got transform, same as the camera with position, rotation, and scale. And it has a component which is light, and light has a whole bunch of information on there. For example, intensity, which is how bright our light is. I'm gonna put this back to 1. And down in the bottom, we have the project tab. You might want to grab the line in the middle to adjust the spacing so you can see things properly. And if I click on my assets folder, see you have scenes. Within that, click on the scenes and you'll see a sample scene. That's the current scene we've created. Up to the top left, we'll see experimenting. That's the name of my project. I called it experimenting. Sample scene is the current scene we're on, and then you'll see an asterisk here. So that means we haven't saved our project yet. So to save, we could either click Control S or we could go to File and click Save. And now, as you can see, the asterisk goes away. Now my scene has been saved to my hard drive. Now, next step is I'm gonna add another game object in my scene. So right click in our hierarchy, choose 3D object. Now you've got a few things here by default. We can create a cube, sphere, capsule, cylinder, etc. I'm gonna start by creating a cube. Now, when I do that, a cube appears in my hierarchy and it also appears within my scene. So you can zoom in and out using the mouse wheel. Now, for example, you're far enough or you can't see your game object, you could just hit the F key on the cube, and then when you hold down Alt and left mouse button and move your mouse around, it would rotate around that exact object that you've just asked it to focus in on. Now we can manipulate this cube. We can change it in a bunch of different ways. You see up in the top left, we have a number of icons here, like the view tool, move tool, rotate tool, uh, scale tool, rect tool. These icons also correspond the keys on your keyboard. I recommend that you get used to using the keys because it's much easier rather than dragging your mouse around the top to click the icons. So for example, this view tool is Q on our keyboard, Q, like that. And then the move tool is W. The rotate tool is in E. Uh, scale tool is on R. And the last one is the rect tool, the T. So for example, if you hit W, our keyboard, W, you can see that we have these handles on our game objects. These handles relate to the coordinates. The Y is up, the green. The red one is the X here, and the blue to the Z. As I rotate around the world, you can see that it's rotating the widget up in the top here, up in the top right, and it's also rotating for the object. So let's do some manipulations for our game object. Now I'm gonna hit R, which will allow me to scale. Now I can scale if I mouse over the gray cube in the middle. It will allow me to increase the entirety of my object. If I grab one of the handles for one of the axes, that will allow me to change the particular axis to stretch or scale it in that area. Now, for example, I'm gonna make a car. At the moment, I've got one cube. I can rename the cube by clicking on it once and then slowly clicking on it the second time. I'll call this car body. So I've renamed my game object as you can see in the inspector. And now while I've got car body selected, I'm gonna hit, oh wait, I'll adjust it on the right size to make it more look like a car body. Right there. Now, while clicking on the car body, I'm gonna hit Control D. Now you'll see it will make a copy or duplicate of the car body, and I'm gonna rename this to be car top, or I can also go to the edit and duplicate. If you don't want to use the keys, that will duplicate the game object. Now you might be wondering, where did the duplicate go? One is it, one
is exactly on top of the other one. So press W on the car top and move it upwards so you could see the second component of the car body. Now let's hit R to scale this down by dragging the mouse up and down, up and down. Then move it downwards again. And now we have some sort of top top part in our car. So what's next? We're gonna create some wheels for the car. So right click again, 3D object. I'll choose cylinder. Now you see the cylinder is too big and it is in the wrong direction. So I'm gonna start by clicking R to scale it down to make it look like more a wheel. Okay, I think this will do. Next is I'm gonna press E for rotate, and the little tip of you hold down. Wait, I'm just gonna fix the camera angle so I could see. Now just hold down first E, then hold control, then while holding the left click mouse button and rotate, it will rotate it by every 15 on the Z axis. Oh wait, I think around 90 degrees maybe. There you go. And put it on its right place. Think around here. I'll move it more. Right there. Now the next step is to duplicate this wheel. Oh wait, I forgot to rename it. Wheels. And duplicate. Move again. About, wait, I'm just gonna check. Okay, we have two wheels. Now we can duplicate multiple things if you click this one, then shift up to the other one, then press Control D again, then press move. Now put it on the other side. And the last thing I will do is to group these objects together so that we know that these things belong to the car. So I'm gonna come into the hierarchy and create empty game object. That's an empty game object that has no visuals along with it. And if you have look at our game object in our inspector, there's no other components to tell us what it is. It's just a place in the world good that's good because it's gonna be a grouping object for us. Now, just to have a practice, what I like to do over in the transform, click reset. That means that our position will be right in the very center of our world, which would is 0, 0, 0 in X, Y, and Z axis. Now I'm going to highlight the car body to the wheels by
pressing shift and dragging that onto the empty game object. Now I'll rename this to car. Now, as you can see, the car parts are indented. Now, the terminology here is the car has become the parent of the game object beneath it. So, if I roll up the car, it highlights every object. Also, I can move it everything at once and don't need to highlight everything within there. So, that's just a way for us to start grouping objects in a parent game object. Now, that's it. You've created your first car in Unity.